This weekend, we have a big rematch in the boxing world. It is Chris Eubank Jr. taking on Conor Benn, a rematch from their legendary performance in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium back in April of this year, 2025. And it was one of the best fights I have ever seen. I'm going to give my prediction on the rematch in the build-up. You know, if you saw the face-to-face Conor Benn, he kept saying, "Oh, go on, Chris, do the mind games, come on, you got it there, come on, Chris, do the mind games," pointing to his head, but trying to show Chris Eubank that he's not rattled, but he's clearly rattled. Eubank's presence just annoys Conor Benn. It's genuinely the best thing to watch. But first, I'm going to go through the first fight, see what we learned about this matchup. Rounds 1 to 3. I thought Eubank Jr. did really well in the first round, using that jab, establishing it well. Conor Benn wasn't doing too bad either. He had a good, solid jab of his own. I thought rounds 2 and 3, Conor Benn did start to take over a little bit. But I just think Benn was swinging way too hard in the early rounds. I think he was just trying to take the head off of Chris Eubank. And, because of the egg slap, I think he just wanted to get his own back. He was just swinging for the fences, and Eubank saw the hooks come in and did a good job of defending. Conor Benn eventually started using his own jab very well, and you could see that he was the sharper, faster opponent in the first 3 rounds especially, and Benn actually hurt Chris Eubank a bit with a left hook in the third round, so it was good work from Conor Benn early on in the fight. In the middle section of the fight, rounds 4 to 8, Eubank did start to take over here. The majority of the judges gave Eubank rounds 4 to 8. Eubank started using his uppercuts more. He started using his right hand more instead of just relying on that lead hand, he was doing really well with his lead hand, but he wasn't using his right hand. And when he started doing that, that's when the fight really started to shift in Eubank's favour. Ben wasn't doing bad, but he just wasn't setting up his punches. He was just kind of winging and was looking to land a big shot on the face of Chris Eubank Jr. But it was just Chris Eubank Jr.'s, that was his section of the fight. He was doing really well. He started feeling himself, moving good. Both men showed great head movement throughout the fight. Benn, he did hold his own in these rounds, and he even won a couple of them on the judges' scorecards. Benn was actually really good in these rounds. It's just that Chris Eubank Jr. was a little bit better in the judges' opinion. Rounds 9 to 10, Conor Benn decided to take back over. He won these rounds on the judges' scorecards. He was using his straight right hand a bit more. He wasn't just throwing big hooks, and he was using body punches. I don't think Conor Benn utilised the body punches enough in the previous 8 rounds. Chris Eubank Jr. came into this fight drained, and everyone knew it. Conor Benn knew it, and I think he should have exposed that more with more body work. Chris Eubank, he got cut in this section of the fight, round 9. He got cut with a headbutt, but good work, really good stuff from Conor Benn here, and he was starting to take the fight back over and starting to put the belt back into his hands here. But then rounds 11 and 12 came in, and Benn he looked knackered from throwing all those winging punches constantly over and over again. And I think that's something he can take with him into the rematch. It's that not to throw these big winging punches over and over again. He's got to pick the times to do it, because Chris Eubank started finding the uppercuts of when Conor Benn was dipping down, and in rounds 11 and 12, they just started trading. They just started going at it, full pedal to the metal. But Chris Eubank was pushing the action more. He got Conor Benn against the ropes and was swinging hard, and he just got better in the exchanges, and I think that is what pulled the fight through for Chris Eubank Jr. Even though he had the cut on his head, even though he was tired as well, he just wanted it more, I feel. And you could see the emotion when he won the fight. But definitely rounds 11 and 12, I gave it, and the judges gave it to Chris Eubank Jr. Absolutely incredible fight this was. Now, we can learn from this fight. Chris Eubank Jr., he needs to use that right hand earlier in the fight, because from the first half of the fight, he really was not using his right hand enough. I don't think he was using his uppercuts enough as well either. He really was just doing single jabs and moving, or double jabs and moving. I think he should have used that right hand more to his advantage. He was just kind of floating near his chin, and allowing Conor Benn to get some good work in there. Conor Benn, I think he needs to use more bodywork in this fight. and I think he needs to take a little bit off his punches because he was swinging so hard in this fight, and he just gassed out. Well, not gassed out, but he was really tired towards the end. It sucks being that tired at the end of a 12-round fight. Chris Eubank had the experience advantage and managed to push through. So, with all that being said, I do think that in the end, Chris Eubank will win the rematch. I think the experience advantage plays into his favour, and I think the emotional factor plays into his favour as well. Conor Benn gets so rattled by Chris Eubank Jr. It's incredible to watch, genuinely. It is a sight to see. What if you just see literally any minute from that section of the fight? Conor Benn, he gets so annoyed at the sight of Chris Eubank Jr. and he's just playing into Chris Eubank Jr.'s hands, and Jr. knows he's in Conor Benn's head. So I feel like Conor Benn is going to try to take his head off again, because he really hates that Eubank has a win over him. Eubank was his first professional defeat. Eubank is the reason that Conor Benn is not chasing world titles right now. It's all because of Chris Eubank Jr. So I think Conor Benn I don't think he's gonna learn from his mistakes this time, and I think he's just gonna go for the knockout. And I think that is a big mistake from Conor Benn. I think that's what he's gonna do. I could be wrong, but I think he's gonna be swinging hard. And if he lands, though, it could pay off big if he lands. But he's just got to make sure he doesn't telegraph those punches as much. And I think he needs to use his jab more. He was doing really well with the jab in the early rounds of the fight. Conor Benn was actually landing better jabs than Chris Eubank Jr. in rounds 2 and 3. Eubank, he stopped throwing as much, and Conor Benn was kind of taking over. He was sharp, he was quick. It was really, really good stuff from Conor Benn. But with all that being said, I am going with Chris Eubank Jr. to win a decision. I don't think there's going to be a knockout. I think there's too much on the line for there to be a knockout. Conor Benn's chin, and Chris Eubank's chin for that matter, absolutely unreal, especially with the family legacy on the line, facing a guy you absolutely despise, you do not like in any way, shape or form. You may respect each other, but they don't like each other, and they cannot bear to lose. Chris Eubank, he cannot bear to lose to Conor Benn. Conor Benn certainly does not want to lose again to Chris Eubank Jr. I think Chrissy Jr. gets it done again. All 12 rounds will be fought. It will be a decision for Chris Eubank Jr.